everyone, and welcome back to another interview with our 90 Stories for 90 Years campaign. My name is Mary Osborne, and I am a coordinator for Fraternity and Sorority Life here at DePaul. For those of you who are new to this campaign, this is our 90th academic year with Fraternity and Sorority Life on campus. And so we're interviewing alumni, faculty, staff, students, you name it, if they've had any impact on the FSL community. We want to hear their story. So today we have Nichole with us. Nichole, we're so excited to have you.
Thanks for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Awesome. Well, we'll just go ahead and get started with you introducing yourself. So sharing your name, degree, hometown, chapter affiliation, and any leadership you held within the FSL community.
Yeah, so my name is Nichole Bjornstad Smith, as you can see here on the screen. And I'm originally from Eagan, Minnesota. And so obviously came to DePaul for undergrad. I joined Delta Zeta my freshman year at DePaul, and that would be the Theta chapter of Delta Zeta. And so while I was at DePaul University, I was the president of our Delta Zeta chapter, and then I was also the president of Panhellenic at DePaul, which was really special and a really neat experience. And I think that's it. Do you want me to share what I'm doing today?
Yeah. Go ahead and tell us what you've been up to since you graduated.
Yeah, so I now live in Birmingham, Alabama, which is a far away place that I thought I would never end up in. But my husband is from here, and so I live in Birmingham, Alabama. I am the VP of Development for the American Heart Association here, and so work with philanthropy and this nonprofit every day.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for sharing all of that. Maybe go ahead and tell us why you decided to join a sorority at DePaul.
Yeah, I think I understood the benefits of sisterhood and being a part of a community. Like I mentioned, I'm from Minnesota, and so I didn't have anyone when I decided to go to DePaul. I was on my own, which was exciting, but I also knew that I needed some friends and I needed a support system. And so I decided to rush because I was looking for that sisterhood aspect, and also just wanted to be a part of a network of strong, powerful women, and was looking forward to that as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I love when people talk about that network of strong women in sorority life. I think that that's such a powerful environment to surround yourself with. And yeah, so thank you so much for sharing.
Yeah.
You did mention in our previous communication that you felt like Greek life shaped your experience at DePaul. Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
100%. So, in high school, I was just kind of like, I didn't feel like I was anyone special. And I definitely wasn't a part of the cool kid crowd or anything like that. And so I think for a lot of people, including myself, college was a chance to just kind of really figure out who I was and explore who I was meant to be. And so I think one thing that I really learned through Greek life at DePaul was that I can be a leader of something. And I had felt more like a follower my whole life. And so when I had, when I joined Delta Zeta and I had just expressed an interest in leadership opportunities, everyone was extremely supportive of that. And that was kind of the confirmation that I needed that I can do this. And of course you have to get voted into positions, which made me feel awesome that my peers felt like I was deserving to lead this fantastic group of young women. And so I just feel like Greek life at DePaul shaped me and who I am and how I look at myself, because I now look at myself as a leader, and before I couldn't safely say that. And I feel like that's shaped who I am today because I look at myself in my organization and where I want to be with my career. And I can honestly say it's really given me a lot of confidence in myself that people like me, they want me to lead potentially, and that I can successfully do that. And honestly, when you lead an organization or you're just a part of an organization, it just teaches you a lot of skills that are really transferable to the working world that you don't think about when you're in college. And so, yeah, it definitely shaped me 100%.
Yeah, thank you so much for sharing all of that. I love that you talked about that your sisters kind of like tapped you or expressed interest in you being a leader, and that's really like how you got started on your leadership journey. I think that that's one of the coolest parts of fraternity and sorority life is that even people who weren't super involved in high school or who didn't, weren't like student council president and didn't hold those kind of positions can learn and develop those skills that put them in those positions in college that really like can help them, like you mentioned, like with transferable skills moving into the career field. I think that that's such a testament to fraternity and sorority life and like the, kind of the things that it can do, and like building confidence. I know that that's something that so many women that I talk to on a daily basis talk about with their sorority experience, that it just like really helps them build the confidence to do public speaking or, to balance a budget or things like that you just don't think about pre your sorority experience.
Absolutely. And I think another thing that Delta Zeta did for me when I look back at it is I'm currently in nonprofit. And so I would have never, I don't think, considered the nonprofit field if it wouldn't have been for my experience with philanthropy and giving back and the structure that a fraternity or sorority provides around philanthropy was, of course, really important and a big part of the foundation. And so I think that whether I realized it or not, now I look back and realize that I think that actually shaped my career as well, which is kind of neat.
Yeah, absolutely. I think about my own experience whenever I joined Delta Zeta as well. And I will be honest, like I wasn't a super philanthropic or service oriented person. I really joined a sorority to make friends, but that has become a really big component of my life post college. And I really owe a lot of that to my sorority experience too. And I think that that's so cool that it's like it kind of led you into a career in that field as well.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's something I really didn't give much thought to until recently, but I think it really did shape me in that way. So
that's awesome.
Neat.
Yeah. So what does sisterhood mean to you?
Oh man, it just like spans years and years and years. It's so funny. Sisterhood is just, there's nothing like it, I think. And, you're not going to click with absolutely everyone that's in your sorority. And this is actually very funny. So one of my very, very, very closest friends, her and I were in Delta Zeta together. And I was the president of Delta Zeta, and she was like the misfit member. And she was like
the misfit member.
You know exactly who I'm talking. The ones that like won't wear the proper attire to like, the ritual, and the ones who you're always having to find because of X, Y, and Z. So that was her. And so we were never like close friends while we were in undergrad. We both ended up getting the exact same job, working for a pharmaceutical company in Michigan. And we both ended up working for the exact same manager. And we just had no idea until it was, happening. So we decided, well, we knew each other and we didn't have anyone else. So we should probably like live in the same building or something, And so even though we were not really great friends in college, we ended up becoming like the best of friends. And it's just, besides her, I have so many other, sisters that I'm still very, very, very close with. And we take annual trips and stay in touch frequently. And, sisterhood is just something that will always stay with you. And it's just it's the gift that keeps on giving. And it's such a blessing. Mm-hmm. And I think that's the hope when you're in undergrad, right? That's the hope that it continues on. Mm-hmm. And I'll say, like any friendship, it's a two-way street and you have to put in the effort, and now just like what happens to most people, you graduate college and people move to different ends of the country. And so that's happened to a lot of us. But, you know, you need to put in the effort to stay connected with people. But a lot of my close sorority sisters do that. And so we're constantly FaceTiming, and, you know, now we have kids and we're going on trips with our kids together. And, you know, it's so neat. And I have a sorority sister who lives in New York, and she's like done having her girls. And so she ships me girls' clothing for my little 2-year-old little girl. And it just is so much more than I ever had thought it would ever be. And it's just, sisterhood is such a blessing. So,
yeah. And it really like evolves, I think, over your lifespan, right? Like what I looked at as sisterhood when I was in college versus what I look at sisterhood as now, well, kind of similar in, you know, that connection and, you know, that support system, really does change over time. And what used to be like every single day communicating with some of these women, maybe a couple of times a year at this point, but still feeling like super connected to them.
Yeah. Absolutely. And like, one of my other very, very, very close friends is expecting her first baby. And it's the kind of relationship where, you know, it's evolved. Like you said, we used to communicate every day or something in college. Mm-hmm. And as you get older, you just know, like, okay, I love you, you love me, I care about you, you care about me, you're very busy, I'm very busy. Just because we don't call each other all the time doesn't mean we don't love each other. And so I just think that there's been a mutual understanding, at least with the women that I'm still really close with, that it's like we catch up when we can catch up. And otherwise, you know, nobody gets offended if we forget a birthday or, you know, miss something, because we just understand, you know, on both sides, life is hectic and busy. But that doesn't mean, you know, we don't still care about each other. So.
Yeah, absolutely. You mentioned before that you were both the Delta Zeta president and also Panhellenic Council president. So what did you learn from being the president of the Panhellenic Council? And why did you even decide to run for that position in the first place?
Yeah, thanks for asking. It's kind of funny. I would have thought that I would have maybe been Delta Zeta president and then president of the Panhellenic Council, but it was actually the other way around. And I actually didn't interview for the Panhellenic president position. I think I interviewed for a recruitment position or something. I forgot what it was. And so after my interview, they had, you know, come to me and said, we actually would like for you to interview for the president of Panhellenic position. And I was like very taken aback, but really excited. And our big thing on the Panhellenic Council that year, and something like an initiative that was really important to me, was unity. That was our word, was unity. And so unifying the different councils. So I hope I get these acronyms right. MGC, Panhellenic, and IFC. Did I get them right? Okay. I know it's been a minute. And so, you know, we just cared deeply about unifying all of the councils and not just catching up with each other, but like having, you know, cross-pollinating events together, and like giving the students in our organizations the chance to mingle with people from not just Panhellenic and IFC, but the multicultural groups as well. It was really, really important to us. And so, you know, one thing that I remember that was such a fun memory is we ended up doing a big step competition, everyone together. And that was such a fun memory. And it really just brought our community together. And that was a major priority for us. And so I think I learned a lot about just working with a lot of different people and how important it is to come together for a unified vision. And the list goes on, I think, and on of the things that I learned about leadership from the Panhellenic Council.
That's so cool that you were Panhellenic president and then chapter president. That's a very unique experience.
Yeah, but it allowed me, I think, to lead the Delta Zeta organization better, because I brought with me sort of a broader understanding of the importance of the other organizations and how we could better work together. And I think that gave me a unique perspective.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you so much for sharing that. So what are some ways that your life has changed since becoming a member of your organization?
Oh my gosh. So in so many ways. Just my life has changed a lot, as anyone's life does, when time passes after college. But I married a man that I met on a cruise ship in high school, and I didn't talk to him for 10 years, and then we reconnected and ended up moving to Birmingham, Alabama, as I explained earlier. We have a 2-year-old little baby, and her name is Blake. So just becoming a mom has been so fun. In terms of my career, I started actually DePaul. I was in the sales and leadership program at DePaul. I think that was through the marketing department. Is that still there? I think it is.
Probably.
Yeah, we'll go with it. Yes.
Yeah.
And so they did I feel like DePaul did a really good job, like setting people up for job opportunities. Mm-hmm. So when I graduated, I actually was recruited to be in pharmaceutical sales. So I started my career there. And then from there, I ended up doing a different type of medical sales. And then when my life moved me to Birmingham, Alabama, I was forced to kind of re-examine my passions and what it is that I wanted to be doing. And that's when I joined the American Heart Association about 6 years ago. I just celebrated my 6-year anniversary. And so I've had 3 different positions within the organization, and I've been promoted a few times, which has been great. And it's been a great experience. And like I said, I get to work sort of from the philanthropic standpoint every single day, which has been a blessing. I lead a team of fundraisers, which is really neat. And knowing that we do really great things every single day and that we're actually raising life-saving money is really neat. And so it's a great career path regardless. But I think the cherry on top is knowing that the money that you're raising is really saving somebody's life, whether you can see them or not. It's impacting them in some way, shape, or form. So I would say just about everything in my life has changed since graduating or since joining Delta Zeta. But it's so funny because you look back at college and you're like, those were some of the best times of my life. But I'm also look at my 2-year-old and I'm like, but this is the best time in my life. So I think that every chapter is so great for different reasons. And I certainly look fondly back on my days at DePaul and in Delta Zeta.
Awesome. Well, we are going to wrap your interview up with our closing question. So what is your favorite memory from being a member of your organization?
I would say, this is so cheesy, but this is like so me. I loved our rituals that we had, and I know those are all secretive and, every sorority or fraternity, has their own, but just really feeling the closeness and the bond of sisterhood in those moments, like, usually accompanied by some sort of candlelight. And it's just a really special time with your sisters. And I would say that's probably my honest answer. Of course, there were endless nights at various bars and restaurants around town that I could point to that are vague memories now, but so many fun times. And I just think being able to go to school in such a big city is just such a blessing that you just don't even know what you have until it's gone anymore. And now I live in Birmingham, Alabama, which is fantastic, but I look so fondly back on those experiences where we're out late night and riding the L to a Cubs game or something like that. There's just countless memories, fun things like that with friends. But I think when it all comes down to it, the most cherished or special memories that I had with Delta Zeta and my sisters would probably be during our ritual. So,
and I think that those are probably some of the most unique to fraternity and sorority life memories and experiences too, right? Like that's an experience that you really don't get outside of, your own fraternity or sorority, and like other student organizations don't have the same, ritual ceremonies or the things that connect to their everyday fraternity and sorority experience too in those ceremonies and things like that. So I really appreciate that you shared that. This is probably the first time that I've heard ritual as the favorite memory, but it's but I do.
You're also speaking to a former ritual chair, so I feel like I'm kind of maybe like a ritual nerd. So maybe that's why. But it just speaks to your soul in some way, shape, or form, I think, and it opens a part of you up that most people don't get to see, and I just think that's a beautiful thing. So,
yeah, absolutely. Well, Nichole, thank you again so much for joining us on our 90 Stories for 90 Years campaign. For those of you who are still out there, there's still more stories to tell, so make sure that you tune in. And we'll be doing these all through the rest of this quarter and into the summer, so we look forward to seeing you all again then. Bye.